Welcome into Around the Felt Sports. We got a special in-person pod today. Colin, unfortunately, was stuck with his fake job tonight and had to be doing that kind of stuff. So I got my graphic designer, Garrett, who, does these fire graphics, to fill in for him. And we figured, why not do it together in person, in studio? When's the last time we brought one of these to you? Garrett, what's up? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Colin, have fun at your quote-unquote job or whatever it is you do on your weeknights. But
yeah, I mean, I don't remember giving you the day off, Colin. That is something else that you chose to miss the pod tonight. But that's all right. Garrett's here. He will fill in, and we will get this done without you. But, Garrett, we saw some injury news. We have a couple big injuries, so I want to get into that before we get into the questions in the Week 3 matchups, because tonight's pod is all things NFL Week 3. But the first up, Justin Fields has been ruled out already. Aaron Glenn ruled him out today with a concussion, so Tyrod Taylor's in. What are your thoughts on that as a Jet fan?
I mean, as a Jets fan, I'm not too mad. I actually think that whenever Tyrod steps in, the offense usually flows. Last year, when he stepped in for Rodgers in spots, he actually drove the ball down the field multiple times, led a couple scoring drives. So he's one of the best backups in the league, and this is why you pay your backups, because when you have a quarterback like Justin Fields who likes to run a lot, you never know when he's going to get injured. So I'm curious to see. He's in a tough spot on the road in Tampa, but I'm curious to see what he'll do. I got some faith in him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, being a Jet fan as well, I'm at the point where I'm already giving up on the season, so you might as well see if there's anything there, because at the very least, maybe come trade deadline, we could get maybe a second or third round pick for him for a team that's, quarterback needy, that gets desperate, but probably won't work out that way.
Yeah.
But some other news, Khalil Mack has been put on the IR. He was injured in the Raiders-Chargers game the other day, so a massive blow for this Chargers team that's looked really sharp through 2 weeks. Also, Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, both ruled out for Thursday Night Football. So that defense takes a hit. I don't think it'll matter. We'll get into that matchup more. They're still over a double-digit favorite in that game, but definitely will open up some more for A-Chain in that run game with, the great run-stopping D-tackle Ed Oliver and Matt Milano, their enforcer in the middle there. Other injury news, Jaden Reed officially out 6 to 8 weeks on the IR. He obviously busted up his collarbone in that night game against the Commanders last week, and he's already been dealing with the foot injury, so he's having surgery on his foot. He's having surgery on his collarbone. We'll miss 6 to 8 weeks. Are there any other wide receivers in that Green Bay system that you now like with Jaden Reed's absence for at least 6 weeks?
I think they've been planning to have the next man up. They have bodies there. They have this is why you draft a guy, Matthew Golden. He's going to get his best chance he's had so far to get a bunch of reps. You had Romeo Doubs step up last week. So I think Dobbs steps into that number 1 spot with Golden, has a good chance to prove himself here.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it would be Golden the one that I think will be the one to directly be affected by that. I mean, they obviously spent the capital on him. We saw them trying to get him involved when Reed did go down. They just weren't able to connect, but there were a couple deep shots thrown his way. That one with the Love that was underthrown in the end zone. You might be looking at him completely different if some of those passes are completed and he doesn't get the, virtually a goose egg. And then Tucker Kraft, too, as well, I think will just get more and more targets.
Yeah, he stepped up big last week, and I would expect similar results this week.
And now the final injury news is Aaron Jones with the hamstring injury, something that this guy's dealt with for most of his career. It has now been put on the IR for a minimum of 4 games. So the Vikings will be without Jones this week, as well as McCarthy. But you obviously have been banging the drum on Jordan Mason a lot in the offseason, so he'll have his full crack at a full workload. And I would think, at least for the next 4 weeks, I view him as a top 12 fantasy running back. I mean, we'll see how the offense looks, but I think he's going to get a lot of volume, and off of sheer volume alone, he'll be very relevant because he'll be getting the goal line work. He'll be involved as a pass catcher. I know they just brought Cam Akers back, but that doesn't worry me at all. But full steam ahead for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, he already looked pretty good in his first 2 games. He already was getting a bunch of the carries. Honestly, looked like he had more juice than Aaron Jones anyway. So I don't think it's that big of a loss for them, but fantasy managers, it's a loss for you if you're carrying Aaron Jones.
All right. So that's all we have for the injury news. We're now going to segue over to the questions. If you're listening, maybe a first-time listener, or somebody who's been listening now for a while, never submitted questions, always feel free to ask. You can do fantasy football, you can do betting, just general NFL questions, and we're always interested, in punishment ideas or segment ideas of ways we can improve the podcast. You can do it by, clicking the link in our Instagram bio. Every Monday and Wednesday morning, we throw that link up. So just click the link, submit a question. We'd be happy to hear from you. So first question from Sean Mullen. He wants to know, do you think Michael Penix can be a top 12 fantasy quarterback? And I would say, so far he's looked good. He's shown some flashes. I mean, obviously they have a very talented offense. They invested a lot of capital in Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. But it does seem like, to me, he could have that upside. I mean, the rushing's not there, so it's probably a back-end quarterback one or top 12 quarterback. But I definitely think it's possible. What do you think?
It's possible. I don't see it this season. I think this is Bijan's offense right now, and he's going to steal a lot of those touchdowns away that could be passing touchdowns. And like you said, he doesn't run the ball much. I just don't see it this season, but he's still young. So, if you have him in Dynasty, I'd be happy about that. But I personally don't see a top 12 for him this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
There's a window there. A lot of the some of those middle-of-the-pack guys haven't been performing as well as we thought, like Bo Nix. Like, Mahomes has been pretty okay, but his receivers are banged up. So that middle-of-the-pack, there's room there. But
yeah, for sure. But we'll see, Sean. We'll see. So next we're going to segue over to Caleb, Mr. Around the Bases. His first question is, Terry McLaurin's fantasy production has been concerning so far. Is he still worth starting, regardless of which quarterback goes this weekend? Yeah, I mean, it's been concerning to me, but a lot of it has been because he sat out all that camp, so I think he's catching up. The first game is against the Giants, where they kind of were in control that whole game, and then last week against Green Bay, you would have liked to see more production in a game script where they were trailing and they were throwing the whole entire time. Like, they really weren't trying to establish the run at all or run the ball, so yeah, that did concern me. I may opt to bench him this week, especially if it's Marcus Mariota. I may look for other options and just be like, hey, he needs to prove to me that he's still got it. Because, yeah, I mean, it's at the point where you don't want to keep taking these duds, and it makes you question it. But with Mariota, I'm probably trying to pivot. But what do you think? Are you nervous with Terry?
With Mariota, maybe I'd consider benching him if you have a solid option. But I think going forward, I'm not that worried about the slow start. Obviously, he missed most of camp, but I don't think you can give him that excuse anymore. So if he's, I don't know. You don't want to trade him low, so I would still hold all your stock in Terry. I wouldn't be too worried yet. Him and Jaden just haven't started fast, but I think they'll get back to that 2024 form soon.
So Caleb's next question is about Keenan Allen. He wants to know, do you expect this level of fantasy production to continue out of Keenan Allen? So I'll pull up Keenan Allen's stats right now. In week 1, he had in half-point scoring 16.3 fantasy points. He had 7 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown on 10 targets. Then against Vegas, he had 14.6 fantasy points, 5 catches on 7 targets, 61 yards and a touchdown. So thus far, he's got a lot of targets, touchdown in both games, and over 60 yards. I definitely think this production can continue. I don't think he's anything more than a high-end flex. Like, I think that's his ceiling at this point. But him and Justin Herbert already have a relationship established. Like, he was there for him. Obviously, he was on Chicago last year, but he's been with Herbert the majority of Herbert's career. So even if he is the number 2 option behind Ladd, or maybe even the number 3 option behind Quentin Johnston as well, I don't care. I mean, the relationship's there. This is going to be a high-powered offense, and through 2 weeks, this offense is turned into a pass-first offense, very different than what we saw last year where they were run-first, where they were trying to run it with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbin. This year it's almost kind of head-scratching because they went out and got Najee in free agency and spent the first-round pick on Omari and Hampton. And maybe that's just they like the matchups more, but thus far they want to throw the ball with Herbert, and it's been successful. They're 2-0, and the offense has looked great. So I'm all in on Keenan Allen. I think you can start him as a flex going forward, or if you're running back top heavy and maybe your wide receivers aren't as good, maybe he slides into that wide receiver 2 role for you.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, so cool. So his final question, what is an unpopular survivor pick you might be tempted to take this week? That's a good one, Caleb, because obviously, you got to look at it, what teams are not favorited by a lot, or maybe they're an underdog, you know? To me, I think that the Bears are a very intriguing option. Even though they're underdogs against the Cowboys, that Cowboys defense just got cooked by Russell Wilson for 450 yards. Chicago's at home. They just got embarrassed by the Lions, but I think it's a get-right game for them. I think they get their first win of the season, and I think Caleb Williams lights up that defense with Rome and DJ Moore. I expect big games from them. So the Bears are a team that comes to mind. I mean, you can go with the Commanders against the Raiders. I mean, I think a lot of people may opt to stay away, but I think they'll get the win regardless if it's Daniels or Mariota. The 3.5 line makes it seem like it's reflecting as if Mariota is going to be the starter, because I think if if Jaden ends up playing, I think that line will be more like closer to a touchdown. Were there any teams that like stuck out to you?
Unpopular wise, maybe not. I know I would say New England would be my like closest one that I'd consider taking, that you might want to, because it's not a team you're gonna want to like. You're gonna want to get rid of them soon, and I like their chances at home against Pittsburgh. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. I agree with most of the first ones you said, so that'd be my only different one from what you said.
No, and I mean, that's not bad. Definitely not bad with New England.
In case you want to save some of your better teams, because...
Yeah, I mean, it's something to factor in, and that's always been a weird strategy for these survivor pools. Do you want to burn all the good teams early, but then not have them later? But it also doesn't matter, because if you get cute early, you're just going to get eliminated. Right. So it's like, I'd rather be scrambling later on and actually get to the point where that is a problem versus trying to get cute early, and then I'm like, well, I got bounced because I decided to get cute. So, but those are some ones that I would say are unpopular picks that you could maybe look at if you're looking to get cute with it. All right, Caleb, thank you. So now we shift over to Zach Tong, Mr.
Tonger.
Around the Octagon. He has one question. He wants to know, would you write the Chiefs out if they lose to the Giants and start 0-3? Would it make a difference if the Chargers start 3-0? Yeah, I mean, if the Chargers get to 3-0, I think the Chiefs definitely start to get worried, because it's, you know, even if the Chiefs win, they're up 2, but really it's 2.5 with the head-to-head win right now. Yeah. I think the Chiefs are going to handle business against your Giants, unfortunately. I think that's a terrible draw for the Giants, because I think the Giants actually are playing the scariest version of the Chiefs, because it's just like, what world could anyone ever see this team dropping to 0-3? I mean, their defense really hasn't been the issue. It's been the offense. So I think they can bounce back against the Giants defense that just got lit up by the Cowboys. But right now for the Chiefs too, I mean, if they can't get that run game going, they're going to be in trouble, because Pacheco has been super ineffective. He has not looked the same since that foot injury. Hunt's not effective either. I mean, right now Patrick Mahomes is leading the team in rushing yards. So that is an issue, because he's not your stereotypical rushing quarterback. Like, he has mobility, but you never want him to be your leader in the rushing yards. And I understand, you know, Worthy banged up, obviously not back yet. I know they're hopeful that he can go Sunday night, and that would be a huge, massive addition for that team if they can get him back. And Rice will be out till week 7. So you got to just start winning some games, because otherwise that's going to be slip away, and they're going to be playing for a wild card spot. And it's like, whoa, we've never seen Patrick Mahomes on the road like the whole playoff run. So that would definitely be interested in as well. But what do you kind of?
I think in that scenario, if the Giants did win, I'd be very worried if I was a Chiefs fan. Yeah. I think at best you're looking at a wild card berth at that point, especially with the Chargers having a game on you, and they haven't played Denver yet, so we don't know how they're going to play against them. I just think it's going to be an uphill battle for them to even get close to winning this division if they start 0-3.
Yeah, no, that's by far a must-win game for the Chiefs. You can't drop to 0-3 this early in the year. You just can't. Thank you, Zach. Next up, we have brother of the Tongs, Jared Tong, submitting some questions. His first one is a fantasy football question. Since O'Marion Hampton has been cheeks, yes he has, should I go Wan'Dale, Pearsall, or Worthy if healthy, or stick with Hampton? So I'm assuming in this case you can only go with one. I'm going to go ahead and say I would probably go with Worthy if he's healthy, because right away he's going to step right back into that number 1 wide receiver role for the team. We saw how good he was down the stretch with Mahomes, and even early on, like, and it was one drive, like they were drawing up some plays to get him open, some gadget type plays. So I think he's going to be heavily involved if healthy. For me, that's the no-brainer. If he's not the play, then I'll probably go with Hampton, because I don't fully trust Pearsall with Mac Jones as a quarterback. And Wan'Dale, I just need one more week to see it before I'm fully bought in on him, because while he went off last week, I don't know if he can do that again, where I think these other guys have a higher upside. So I rank it Worthy, Hampton, Pearsall, Wan'Dale. But hopefully Worthy's back, because I think he's clear-cut number one option out of those four, and it's not even close.
I'm going to take it a different route. I'm actually going to take Wan'Dale in that situation.
Really?
Yeah, I think the script is going to be in his favor this week. Especially, he looked good both weeks, and Neighbors cooked last week. So I think the Chiefs are going to put a lot of focus on locking down Neighbors, double coverage a lot. And I think the script's going to be in the favor of Wan'Dale. I think he's going to see a lot of good opportunities. That Russell Wilson moonball is going to go his way once or twice. I think he can have another great week.
Well, I mean, he needs to. I mean, he's going to be a big reason that this Giants offense can have success, because we said that a lot of teams are eventually going to start to key in on Neighbors and be like, listen, if we can take this guy out of the game, we're okay with Wan'Dale Robinson beating us. So if he continues to make teams pay like he did last week, there could be some big weeks in store for him going forward. So his final question, give me a lock of a touchdown parlay for this weekend. Well, I would say, your brother Big Dog is normally the one to tail on that. I mean, some guys I'm looking at early on the score. I mean, there's, I would say Jordan Mason on the Vikings is someone I like a lot to get in this weekend. I think that's a great matchup against Cincinnati. I think Wentz will have a lot of success there, and they'll be able to move the ball against a terrible Bengals defense.
I like Saquon versus the Rams. Last year when they played, he went crazy. I know it's a snow game, so there was a lot more running, but I think he's in a good position to score again against the Rams.
Yeah, I like Adunze and DJ Moore against the Cowboys. I mean, we just saw what they did to, or what the Giants just did to him with Wan'Dale and Neighbors. So I'd imagine, Dallas's secondary's banged up, and they didn't look good last week. So I think the Bears' offense can have a lot of success. So targeting both those wide receivers in that matchup. And the Lions-Ravens, too. I mean, I think a lot of points are going to be put up in that game. Yeah. I think that's going to be a classic Monday Night Football shootout. So I'm targeting pretty much any option in the receiving game in that, as well as the running backs. So I think that could be in the 40s, both of those teams. But yeah, Jared, but definitely take your brother's Big Dog one.
Yeah, keep an eye on that coming in.
And the final question is from San from Around the Octagon as well. He wants to know, does Will Campbell have a dark horse shot at Rookie of the Year? And he goes, 11th best block rating in the league, best among rookies. It's definitely valid. It's just so tough with offensive linemen because they never get the respect. Obviously, he's already the best Patriots offensive lineman. That's clear cut. You draft a guy 4th overall, you're expecting him to have a big impact. He's a mauler. I mean, he's going to be a beast. I just think he probably won't get the respect, but it's definitely worth a sprinkle because right now I wouldn't say there's one skill guy on the offensive side right now that sticks out to me that it's clear and cut best. I mean, all the running backs have struggled. Cam Ward hasn't put up a ton of production yet. He showed some flashes, but between Hampton, Genty, Travion Henderson, they haven't showed enough flashes. And
Buka looks the best.
Yeah,
so far
I mean that would be my early candidate. Him and Tet have looked good, and then Tyler Warren and Fanning have looked good. Sure. But I mean, if it's one of those years where there's no skill player that really sticks out, why not? I think that would be awesome. So I'm sure as a Patriots fan, you're excited now. The fact that you guys seem to have a home run hit and, a future protector for Drake May for years to come.
Yeah, I think you would need the media would have to start pushing him more and start highlighting him to get all the voters on his side. Because like you said, the linemen just don't get enough recognition as they deserve. So I think it'd be tough, but...
Well, I would love to see it, though. That would be pretty cool. All right, well, that wraps up the questions. Thank you all, once again, for those who submitted them. And like I said, check our Instagram story out Monday mornings, Wednesday mornings. You can click the link to submit questions. We also have it on our website. Or you could just shoot us a DM on any social media platform. We love when people ask us questions. But thank you all for that. And we're going to segue into the games now, all right? All right, so now we're going to get into the games for Week 3. 16 matchups. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Let's see how you do against the picks.
Let's go.
So me and him are both going to do our picks this week for the money line and the spread. Colin's going to have his picks in. Even though he couldn't make it this week, he'll still fill it out, so we'll update the records. But from last week, I'll just update you guys. I am now 16-16 on the spread, 19-13 on the money line, while Colin is 18-14 on the spread and 21-11 on the money line. So Colin's got me slightly edged out right now, but we'll see how it goes. So the first matchup we're going to be getting into is the Thursday Night Football between the Dolphins and the Bills. Bills, 11.5-point favorites, over under set at 50.5. Should be a good game. Kind of a must-win for the Dolphins at this point. McDaniel's seat is boiling hot, I would say right now. I mean, he is trending every week they lose to being a mid-season firing. And this is not the best draw either to get in the win column, going to Buffalo on the road. The only nice thing is, yeah, exactly, on a short week. The only nice thing is Miami then plays Monday night next week, but also they always play terrible in the cold, so to get Buffalo in September in Buffalo is a good draw in that sense. But who do you have in this matchup? And more so, I guess I should say, who do you have covering the spread in this matchup?
I have the Bills winning and covering here. You can't really pick against them right now based off what we've seen the first 2 weeks. I mean, Josh Allen's notoriously owned the Dolphins. He's 12-2 against them, and I don't see that changing very much here. I mean, Tua's 1-8 against the Bills. I like what you mean about them getting the Bills early on the road. That definitely helps them, but I don't see them slowing down Josh Allen. This defense is weak. Those corners are terrible, and I think it could be a bigger game for the. I know we've seen James Cook be kind of carrying the offense a little bit, but I think we could see Shakir pop a little more. Keon Coleman had a great week 1. I think he could have another big game here. I just think no one on the secondary is going to be able to really slow down Josh's arm. Yeah,
I'm going with the Bills as well to win and cover. I mean, they just look like a great team right now. They just dominated the Jets. And while they looked bad defensively early on against the Ravens, they completely locked in when it mattered, and that offense just looks on fire right now. And Miami's defense has gotten lit up both weeks, allowing over 30 points. So I think Josh is going to feast. I think that Buffalo offense is going to feast. And even without Matt Milano and Ed Oliver, it might make the game closer. So that's why I did end up switching over to the Dolphins to cover in this one, just because of those 2 key players on their defense missing. I think Tua can do enough with those talented weapons to keep it close, because 11.5 is so many freaking points, especially even like in the fourth quarter if they're down 2 touchdowns, even like 17 points, like they could get a backdoor cover. So I think the Bills are in control the whole game, but I think Miami can get a cover here.
Yeah, 11.5 is pretty big for a divisional game. And I think those injuries are significant for the Bills. So if the Dolphins offense can't figure it out this week, I don't know what they're gonna do, man.
Yeah, no, they gotta show some flashes here. I mean, if they can hang around, it's a victory in some sense. But let's move on to the battle of 2 backup quarterbacks. The Cincinnati Bengals will be traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Vikings 2.5-point favorites in this one. Over under set at 41.5. Garrett, we'll start with you. You taking Jake Browning and the Bengals, or are you taking Carson Wentz and the Vikings?
I'm taking Browning and the Bengals here to win and cover. We saw this matchup last year actually with Browning against the Vikings, and he threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Carson Wentz hasn't shown that he can still play football at a high level in years. I would have zero trust in a Carson Wentz-led offense right now. And even with McCarthy playing, he had to will them into a game, even though it was basically his fault that they were down so much in the beginning. I like the Vikings defense a lot, so we'll see. They're gonna have it in for them, but I'm gonna lean towards the Bengals here.
Yeah, I'm also going with the Bengals here. I'm going with Jake Browning on the road. I think they get it done here. I like what I've seen from Cincinnati through 2 games, and even when Burrow went down, Browning stepped in. He was finding Chase. He was finding Higgins. So I think the offense is talented enough to get it done, and the defense is showing, they look better than I expected. Granted, it's been against Cleveland, who you could say is one of the worst offenses in the league, and Jacksonville, who's middle of the pack, so they haven't really been tested yet. And I also don't think this is a matchup where they're going to be tested with a, Carson Wentz led offense. No Jordan Addison, no Aaron Jones. I mean, obviously they had Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson, top receiver in the league, and T.J. Hawkinson. But this Vikings offense is missing a lot of its top weapons. So I think Cincinnati could get it done here and improve to 3-0, and really gives them a chance to let Burrow rest up and try to come back on his terms.
He should have never cut him.
Who?
Jake Browning.
Who shouldn't have cut him?
Last season when he played the Vikings, he had that sideline clip of him throwing his helmet and say, "They never should have effing cut me." So, second revenge game inbound for Browning.
There you go. There we go. All right, the next game. Steelers will be traveling to take on the New England Patriots. Steelers are 1.5-point favorites on the road. Over-under set at 44.5. Who are you rocking with here? Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers going to have a bounce back, or are the Patriots going to build on last week's win?
I actually like the Patriots to win and cover here. I thought they were home at first, so I said that earlier. But on the road, I still think they can get it done. I think
No, the Patriots are home.
Okay, yeah, I think you just switched.
No, I was saying the Steelers are 1.5-point favorites on the road.
Good, yeah, because that also factors into it. I like them at home this week. I love Mike Vrabel as a coach. I think obviously it takes time when you start a new system and take over a team for the first season, but they haven't looked that bad. The defense has looked pretty terrible, especially the showing against the Raiders, and we saw them the other night play and put up only how many points did the Raiders put up the other night?
9.
9?
Yeah.
So that's not a good look. This defense is not great, but you're also going against Aaron Rodgers, who's an immobile quarterback. If you can bring some pressure against him, you're going to see him start to get in bad situations. And I like what I've seen from Drake May so far. I think he's the better quarterback over Rodgers right now, and I think they could have a big win here.
Yeah, I actually disagree with you here. I'm going with the Steelers. I think it'll be a nice bounce-back spot. I mean, really, the score does not tell what happened last week. I mean, that Caleb Johnson just not knowing the rules and giving up a free touchdown was kind of where that game was lost, because they were getting the ball back down 3. I mean, it was a back-and-forth game all game, and then you look at it, and it's like, they lost by 10 points. Maybe the Steelers aren't as good as you thought, but I think they are. And I think New England's defense isn't anything special, so I think Rodgers will have a nice bounce-back game. That Seattle defense is definitely a lot better than New England, so I think Rodgers could throw 2 or 3 touchdowns here. I know Christian Gonzalez is questionable here, so if he doesn't play, that makes me like it even more, because then I think DK is going to feast.
Yeah, that's big.
I mean, obviously we don't know yet. It's a Wednesday when we're recording this, but that is going to be very huge for this matchup, whether he's playing or not, because that's going to dictate a lot of what DK Metcalf can do in this game. And I think Jaylen Warren has looked really good so far through 2 weeks for the Steelers as well, and I think their defense is going to continue to get better and better as the season goes on, and I like the veteran coach and Mike Tomlin to scheme up a good game plan here. So give me the Steelers to win on the road here, and they will cover. I know it's only 1.5-point favorites,
but
they will
over
cover
here as well.
Oh, do you like the over 44.5?
I think both these defenses have not shown anything that special this season. Steelers defense is supposed to be pretty good, but past 2 weeks they got lit up. So
yeah, I mean, so far I believe the over has hit in both Steeler games so far. So coming into the year, we didn't know if it would, but so far, I mean, their team has allowed over 30 points in their first 2 matchups. So I'm calling for a bounce-back game, and you're calling for the defense to continue to struggle here. So something's got to give. Something's got to give. But let's move on to a divisional matchup with the 2-0 Colts, who had that on their bingo card early on. Not me. I don't know about you, but 2-0 Colts traveling to take on the 0-2 Tennessee Titans. The Colts are 4.5-point road favorites in this one. Over-under set at 43.5. Does Cam Ward and the Titans get their first win of the season?
I'm saying yes. I think they do get their first win here. I love divisional games. They're always played tight, especially when you're the home team. You have a clear advantage. I think this could be Cam Ward's first game. I think the Colts they're riding that high from the past 2 weeks, but obviously they played a super close game last week, and they ended up on the lucky side of that. But I think we could see Cam Ward's first win here. I like that Titans defense. I know you do a lot.
Yeah.
And I think Daniel Jones might regress back to the mean a little bit. Maybe not fully. I think JT is still going to help carry that offense. But what are you saying here?
Yeah, I have the Titans actually winning this as well. I was kind of thinking a similar thing. And I also think this could be considered a look-ahead game, because I think the Colts are 2-0 now, and they're kind of looking ahead. It's kind of crazy to say that, but you're going against a team that finished dead last year, and then next week you got to go to LA on the road against a team that was in the playoffs, and it's like, all right, we're 2-0, offense is humming. We just beat 2 very good teams in the Dolphins and the Broncos. So and I think Tennessee, I like what I've seen from Cam Ward so far. I think the defense is better than it's showing on paper. They were hanging around with the Broncos in week 1, and last week against the Rams, they were hanging around, but it's just tough, man, against a veteran quarterback in Stafford. So I think this will be close. It'll be a divisional game, but I got the Titans edging them out slightly. But I do think this will be another big week for JT, who leads the league right now in carries and yards. So through 2 weeks, he's been very good. And I think a lot of people who drafted him in fantasy are really happy so far because Daniel Jones has had this offense humming right now. And I think if Anthony Richardson was the quarterback, you would not be so happy about some of these pass-catching weapons and JT as well. So I think the touchdowns will go up more for him as well. But I'm rolling with the Titans here, getting Cam Ward's first win in Week 3. So let's go to the other AFC South divisional game. We got the 0-2 Texans traveling to take on the 1-1 Jaguars. Jaguars are 1.5-point favorites in this matchup. Over/under set at 44.5 here. Garrett, who are you taking in this one, and why?
I'm taking Houston to get their first win here. I don't like what I've seen from Jacksonville at all, and I haven't liked what I've seen from the Houston offense either. I mean, that O-line looks terrible. Trading Laramie Tunsil is not paid off at all for them. C.J. Stroud's running backwards half the time, but I'm not that afraid of this Jaguars team right now until they show me something better. And C.J. Stroud has played pretty good against the Jaguars before. I think this is going to be a good divisional matchup, but I'm leaning Houston to win and cover here.
Yeah, I'm taking the Jaguars, man. I do not like what I've seen from this Texans offense. I mean, the defense has been great. You know, they held the Bucs to 20 points. They held the Rams to 14. They haven't been the reason this team has been struggling. It's been purely on the offense and C.J. Stroud, and it's evident. I mean, the offensive line is terrible. C.J. Stroud looks like he's regressing even more than he did from last year. You know, the run game, while Chubb had a big run in that Bucs game, I mean, the run game hasn't been great. No. I mean, and in the receiving room, I mean, Nico Collins has 6 catches through 2 weeks. Like, that's not...
This is bounce back week.
That's not what you want. And, I mean, as a whole, like, they only have 395 yards, so they haven't really been able to do much on the offense as a whole. This is a nice bounce back spot for them, but I think the Jaguars get it done here, man. They've looked better so far. I mean, they've been putting up big points. I mean, granted, it's been against 2 of the worst defenses in the league, so we'll see how they fare against one of the better defenses in this league. But, you know, this will be a true test for Trevor Lawrence. But I think both offenses and mainly both wide receiver cores, like, and even the number ones, like Brian Thomas Jr. and Nico Collins, both need some big games here. But I like ETN a lot in what I've seen from him so far, so I hope he continues to have success early on. And, you know, I'm also hoping that after this week, Diami Brown is not still the number 1 receiving option for the Jaguars.
I think it's going to be a tough matchup again for Brian Thomas. I like Stingley a lot. I think Nico could have a big game. I think this is more of his bounce-back week. The Jaguars' secondary is still not good this season. Yeah, and I mean, Nico still had a touchdown last week, but just 6 catches through 2 games is not what we've come to expect with Nico, and 5 through 2 games is not what we've come to expect with Brian Thomas Jr. So hopefully both wide receivers can get some stuff done. I think this is going to be another close one as well because, you know, a lot of division games usually are close, but it seems like these AFC South games are usually high scoring and going to overtime. So I like the over under a 44.5 a lot in this game. I think the Jaguars will be able to compete more, and I think this Texans defense will get tested, but the offense will pick up more of the slack this week. So we'll see, but I think it could be a shootout. So let's cut to another divisional game. The Falcons will be traveling to take on the Carolina Panthers. Falcons 1-1, Panthers 0-2. Atlanta 5.5-point road favorites, over under at 43.5. Who are you taking this week, the Falcons or the Panthers? Yeah, I like the Panthers to cover this 5.5, but I do think the Falcons win. I think it's just going to be a tight matchup. I think I like Bijan to have a crazy week this Sunday.
Yeah, that's fair. But the Panthers' terrible run defense, that is fair.
Yeah, not great. And I think the Falcons have looked pretty solid so far, and I don't think this Panthers team has shown me enough yet. I know you're high on them. I know you love Bryce Young.
I do.
He looked like he was mounting a comeback last week. Obviously didn't get it done, but we'll see. I don't know. I just don't trust him enough this week, and I like what I've seen from Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Panthers here. I think Bryce will get it done. I think, granted, a lot of it was garbage time. I don't care. He had them in the game. Something was clicking in that second half. He looked great. I mean, 328 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He was maneuvering around in that pocket, but he's finally got a true number 1. While Xavier Legette, who they drafted last year, didn't work out, Tet McMillan looks like he is the next best wide receiver. He's leading all rookies in receiving yards. Had his first 100-yard receiving game. Had a sick one-handed catch that didn't count. But I like seeing the development of Jatavian Sanders, the rookie, or not the rookie, but the tight end out of Texas they drafted 2 years ago. And then even Hunter Renfrow. I mean, 7 for 48 and 2 touchdowns. He seems like he could be a nice target out of the slot and really emerge as that number 2 wide receiver in this offense. So something that Bryce dearly needs. And I think Chuba Hubbard will have a big game on the ground here as well. I mean, the Panthers' run defense was able to kind of bottle up that Cardinals rushing attack, but it did seem like in that second half the Cardinals took their foot off the gas pedal, which I never understand why teams do that, because it seems like whenever they do that and you go in this prevent defense, that's when teams start to do it, and you go in this protective offense where you're like, we're just going to run the ball where they know what we're doing, and then we're going to punt. And it's just like, why take your foot off the gas pedal? But, they did hold the Cardinals to only 3.7 a carry, 22 carries for 82 yards. So, and Derek Brown looked really good. Like, I was seeing some of the all-22 tape, and I was very impressed with what he was doing. He looked healthy.
Yeah, he's been huge.
But Atlanta also did just have the big win on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings, where those young defenders looked really good, and James Pierce and Jalen Walker that they drafted in the first round. So it was nice to see those edge rushers, and Penix obviously looked good. But my biggest flack for them, and I was saying on the recap pod, like, you got to punch in some of those touchdowns. Like, when you're putting up 22 points, 5 of those, or they kicked 5 field goals and put up 22 points. So 5 field goals to 1 touchdown, you get the win. That's great, but like, get in the end zone. You got to punch some of those in. So they need to figure out their red zone offense better, so you don't have to keep settling for 3 points every trip. But I'm going with the Panthers to win and cover here. Bryce, let's see it. Let's build off of it. What do you say, man? What do you say? All right, the next 1 o'clock game. We got the Rams going on to take on the Super Bowl champs, a rematch of last year's NFC divisional round game. Eagles 3.5-point favorites here, over under 44.5. That line is very, very surprising to me. I guess Vegas is giving the Rams a lot of respect. A lot of people like to say, and probably will say, that the Rams played the Eagles the toughest that any team did all of that playoff run last year. But take the floor away. Who do you got?
That is something I would also say. I like, it might not be popular, but I like the Rams to win and cover. I think I'm not going to call it a trap game, because like you said, like, the Rams are also one of the top teams in the NFC, and they played
a
really
playoff
well
team
last year.
I
think they really showed a lot that last year, going into Philly in the snow and only losing by a touchdown, and it was pretty close at the end. Obviously, Saquon destroyed that defense. I think he has another big game, but I think this Rams team is very good, and I think Puka and Devontae Adams might be able to get some good work in on that Eagles defense. And it seems like there might be some, like, chemistry issues going on with the Eagles wide receivers. I know it hasn't been in their game plan as much to pass a lot this season, but I haven't liked what I've seen from A.J. Brown or Smith so far. They just got off a tough game against the Chiefs, and I think they could get caught lacking a little bit here, and the Rams can get that payback that they've been looking for.
Yeah, I mean, the tough thing with that is, like, if you have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, like, you drafted them to play them, so you can't bench them because the big weeks are coming. I think this could be a week where they start to open up the passing game more, because they haven't even really tried to throw the ball.
No, they haven't.
They've been very content, and obviously that's a new offensive play caller. Kellen Moore is now the Saints coach. But even him, I mean, he's shifted down the stretch to the run game, but they've been very dominant in winning a lot of games where they've been a run-first team. So they won a Super Bowl going that way, even though in the Super Bowl he did air it out. But the majority of the games they won last year were because they were a run-first team. I think they're going to still stick with that. I think this game will be close. I do have the Rams covering, but I have Philadelphia winning, so I think it may come down to the fourth quarter where the Eagles kick a field goal late to either win the game or it's tied and something like that. But I think it's going to be close. I think both teams are going to be – it's going to be a defensive battle similar to what we saw last week in the Eagles-Chiefs game, where it's comes down to the fourth quarter. But I'm going to go with the defending champs here and give them their respect, especially at home. But I do think this will be close. But let's move on. A game I don't think either of us are super excited to talk about. But the New York Jets, 0-2, will be traveling to take on the undefeated Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 6.5-point favorites here, over-under at 43.5. I'm actually surprised with this line. I thought this would be a double-digit line with the Jets having to play Tyrod at quarterback. Yeah. But I guess Vegas has higher hopes for the Jets than maybe we do. But what do you got?
Yeah, I have the Tampa Bay Bucs covering and winning. After last week's performance from the Jets, I don't know how anyone's going to be taking them this week. Yes, maybe you get an extra pop with Tyrod coming in. He's obviously maybe not obviously, but I think he's a better passer overall than Fields.
Yeah, he definitely is.
And hopefully we get a bounce back week from Brees because he was just a non-factor last
It's going to
week.
be tough, though. The Bucs have such a stingy run defense.
Kansas is hurt, though. I saw that.
Yeah.
But the Bucs won, obviously, 2 close games the past 2 weeks, but I don't see this one being that close. Aaron Glenn, rookie head coach, going on the road to Tampa, 2-0 team. That's got big Super Bowl goals. I don't see us stopping Baker much at all. Our defenses look like Swiss cheese the past 2 weeks. I think a big game from Bucky. I think we'll see Sauce Gardner travel Evans a lot. Maybe he plays both sides now that Emeka Egbuka's like arisen and shown that he's a real threat as well. But I think Mike Evans kind of gets guarded by Sauce a lot, and I think that leaves a lot of work for Emeka Egbuka. I think that he's going to have a monster game going against Brandon Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, I went with the Bucs here to win and cover. The one thing I'll say for the Jets that could bode into our favor is this could also be a look-ahead game for the Bucs. We see a lot of these teams that are very good who have a shitty team they're going against end up blowing that game because they have a crazy game they got to play next week. And next week the Bucs are going to be hosting the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl last year. Okay. So that could bode well in their favor. That they're already thinking ahead, like, oh, we got the Jets, like that's an easy win. Like let's focus on Philadelphia and put some more efforts into that. I know it's a cliche, but we see it time and time again. But you know, I think that it's going to be hard for a team like the Jets who wants to run the ball against one of the best run-stopping teams in the league. And Baker's looked so good early on. I mean, through 2 weeks, he's looked dominant, you know, really having his way. And, you know, Bucky Irving and that run defense and that running core of him and White both have looked good as well. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair again until this Jets defense proves that they're better. So I like the over in this game. 43.5 seems pretty low to me, so... But
I just don't see the Jets scoring enough right now. But
yeah,
the Bucs could cover that by dropping 30, and the Jets get like 12, 13 points. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But let's move on. The 1-1 Las Vegas Raiders are traveling to take on the 1-1 Commanders. Commanders 3.5-point favorites. Over under set at 44.5 here. We talked about it earlier. I think this line's kind of reflecting the fact that Mariota is probably going to play. I think the line, because the line opened at 6.5 and has already been knocked down to 3.5. I think the line's reflecting Mariota. I think if the Commanders are smart, they'll play Mariota because I think this is a winnable game with or without him. I do have the Commanders winning here. I do have the Commanders covering here. I think they can do enough defensively to stop the Raiders. I wasn't overly impressed with that offense last week. Geno was really forcing the issue. They really haven't been able to establish the run yet. And the Commanders have looked decent against the run. I mean, they kind of bottled up Josh Jacobs. For the most part, it was more their passing defense that go up, and then they, bottled up the Giants, which obviously they don't have the best running game. But I don't know. I think I'm still gonna roll with them no matter what. I think Mariota's a veteran quarterback that can get it done. Revenge game for him. But let's see him stop. Let's see the Commanders get rolling here. So, but I do think it's gonna be Mariota. But what do you got?
On the flip side, I have Vegas with a win and a cover. I don't think that what the showing we saw last week is the team they're going to be. And even with Daniels last week, I get the Packers have a much better pass rush, but Jaden Daniels is scrambling all over the place. Mariota's not. He's a mobile quarterback, but not as mobile. I don't know if he'll be able to get away. Max Crosby, I like that Raiders D-line. I think they can get home a lot on this Washington O-line. I think, like you said, the run game hasn't been there, but this could be Gentry's big breakout game. It's hard to say that now, but I just think that Pete Carroll's a great coach, and I think he can get these guys ready after a tough loss this week. So I like the spread and the win here.
All right. And now let's move on to the final 1:00 game. We got this week. What is it? It's Cleveland. 9. No. I mean it's 9. We have 9 1 p.m. games, 4 p.m. games, and the primetime games. So I always like when they give us at least 4 4:00 games. Yeah. So I like how the slate turned out this week. But the final one, the Green Bay Packers 2-0 traveling to take on the 0-2 Browns. Green Bay 7.5-point favorites on the road. Over under set at 41.5. I am taking Cleveland to cover here, but Green Bay to win. That's a lot of points to be giving up. I mean, Cleveland's healthy right now. It's just I think a lot of people are buying into the Green Bay hype, and with valid reason. I mean, their defenses look sick, their offenses look sick, but I don't care. I think Cleveland's defense is good enough to keep them in this game, and I think their offense can muster up enough points to get a backdoor cover, but I think a lot of people are going to be down on Cleveland, but guys like Mason Graham, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, I mean, the Browns got some guys on that defense, so if they can keep them in this game, I don't be shocked if this game's tied at halftime or Cleveland's winning. I think ultimately Green Bay wins because they're the better team, but I think going into the fourth quarter, it could be a tie game or Green Bay's only up by 1 score, and 7.5 is very coverable to me, so I think this will be closer than a lot of people think.
I'm right there with you. I totally agree. I think that's too many points, especially Cleveland at home. That defense is good, man. That we saw them cover against the Bengals. Like you said, those guys you highlighted, I think are going to have big games. And with the Packers not having a true wide receiver one, I think Denzel Ward's going to be able to lock down whoever is lining up on his side. I think Green Bay still wins, so I have them on the money line, but I like the 7.5 points you're giving Cleveland.
All right, so after that short break, we're back with the 4 o'clock games. We've gotten through all that, but like I said earlier, there's 4 o'clock games, so NFL did right this week. They didn't give us 3 4 o'clock games. I never understand why they do it that way. I hate how they do that. So, good job NFL this week. So, the first of 4 o'clock games is the Broncos, who are 1-1, traveling to take on the 2-0 Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers 2.5-point favorites, over under 45.5. Garrett, who do you have in this game and why?
I have the Denver Broncos to win and cover this game. I do think the Chargers fall back a little bit. I know they started really hot this season so far. I think this Denver defense is really good. I know they haven't put up their best performance yet, but I think this is going to give Herbert and Harbaugh a lot of fits. And I think Bo Nix, we haven't seen him play one of his better games yet this season, but I think this is a spot where the Chargers defense isn't very good at all, especially without Khalil Mack playing. I think the Denver gets right this week.
Yeah, I'm also with you on that. I think this is a get-right game for Denver. I think the defense will adjust here. They've struggled through 2 weeks. I thought they were going to be a lot better, but I guess this is some of the growing pains of a new defense. But I think this is a bounce-back game, and I think this is a comeback-down-the-earth game for the Chargers, who have looked untouchable through 2 weeks. I think Denver's able to limit this offense a little bit and expose the fact that LA has not been able to run the ball because they haven't really been tested yet for their lack of running ability. And I think if Denver can get after Herbert here, it could end up being a positive game in their favor. I think it will be tight, and I think this could be a preview down the stretch of these two teams actually battling it out for the division title the way it's gone so far, because right now these two teams look like they're much better than Kansas City right now. And the way it's going, this game is very, very crucial. But if LA is to win this and have it 2 games up on Kansas City and Denver with the head-to-head, they're going to be in a great spot. So This could mean they're pulling away really quickly with this division early on.
This could be huge for them.
So we'll see, though. We'll see. But let's move on to one of the bigger spreads on the slate. The Seattle Seahawks will be hosting the Saints this week. They're 7.5 home point favorites, over under at 41.5. So Vegas not projecting a big score here and not a big outcome from the Saints. So really giving respect to that Seattle defense here. But who do you got here? You got Spencer Rattler and the Saints or Sammy D and the Seahawks?
Give me my old pal Sam Darnold. I like the Seahawks on the money line. I do think the Saints can cover this 7.5, so I'm going to go with that. Like we said earlier, the 7.5 it's a pretty big spread. And I think that the Saints are going to be able to play them close enough. I think it's still like a 5 or 6 point win by the Seahawks. I think Mike McDonald and this defense is pretty good. And I think JSN is going to have another field day. He's been one of the top receivers in the league, and I don't see him slowing down this week. I think he has another monster fantasy game. We'll see how this week goes with K9 and Charbonnet splitting the load. I'm just going to be curious to see because I think they're going to be able to score a lot this week, or at least have good offense. So I think this is a good prove-it game for both of them, like which one's really going to take it over, because we saw like a flip-flop between the last 2 weeks. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I don't like Spencer Rattler at all. I'm not a fan. I can't take them confidently to win this game because of that.
Wow, so not buying into the Rat Man. I am buying into the Rat Man. I do think the Saints finally break through and get a win. They've looked good to me through 2 weeks.
They have impressed.
It is kind of crazy to have to start out your first 3 games against NFC West teams, but that's just the schedule they draw. But, going to, having one score losses in both games against the Cardinals and the Niners, I was honestly impressed by their offense and Rattler. I thought he was really able to manage the game well, and, he's looked like not a great starter, but a comparable starter. I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over yet, interception-wise. I don't know if he has any fumbles, but he hasn't thrown any picks yet, so love to see that. He has not turned over the ball through 2 games, so,
he's due.
Maybe he is, maybe he's not. I don't know, but either way, I've been impressed with him. Kamara's looked solid, and the defense really hasn't looked bad either, so I'm not bought in on the Seattle team. I think they had a couple breaks go their way last week. I don't love Sam Darnold in this offense, so I think the Saints finally break through and get the win on the road. I think there's going to be an ugly game. I honestly do like the under here, but I think the Saints win in a low-scoring affair, but I think the defense holds pat and keeps them in this game. So give me the Saints for their first win of the season.
Oh, shit, bold.
Yeah, bold, I know. I'm staying away from Seattle and Survivor, so that is a team I don't want to touch this week. I think they're going to bust a lot of pools. But let's move on to a battle of 2 undefeated teams, speaking of the NFC West. The 2 teams that have both beaten the Saints, so let's see which one of these teams really is legit. The Arizona Cardinals will be traveling to take on the 49ers. 49ers, 2.5-point favorites, even without Brock Purdy. Mac Jones as a starter, and over-under 46.5. So are you backing, 45.5. Are you backing Kyler Murray in that Cardinals offense, or are you rocking with the new-led 49ers offense and Mac Jones?
I'm rocking with the Niners. I'm rocking with Kyle Shanahan here. He's always put up good games or schemed up good games against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have played good football overall. I think their defense is super underrated. I think they've been playing really good. I don't see this Niners team losing here. I think McCaffrey's shown that he's basically back to what he was. I know he's not practicing this week much, but I don't think he needs to practice much. I mean, keep him healthy, get him. He obviously gets a huge workload every week, so you don't need all that extra tear on his body during the week. Just make sure he's ready for the game. I actually like what I saw from Mac Jones. Obviously, he surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns last week.
I think I give more of that credit to Shanahan. I think he's able to scheme up a good game plan for just about any quarterback he's had go in there. We've seen a lot of backups for the Niners hop in spots and play well. I think that's just the kind of coach he is. And I just have a hard time trusting Kyler Murray in big games.
Yeah, I'm going with the 49ers. I'm not really sold on that Cardinals offense. They've had kind of a cupcake schedule so far between playing the Saints and the Panthers, 2 teams that were projected to be, some of the worst coming into this season and really don't have the best defenses. So they haven't really proven to me that they are anything special, and the defense really hasn't been tested yet, where San Francisco, you're playing with some backups and stuff. You get the big win against Seattle, and last week against the Saints, you're able to go into a road game and win with a backup quarterback. So something to be said there. But I think San Fran gets it done at home here. I've been impressed with their defense a lot so far, and I think Arizona really gets tested here and exposed. I mean, they weren't really able to run the ball against one of the worst run defenses in football last week against Carolina. So I think they need to figure out how to get that run game going, and I think Kyler and Marv need to get on the same page before it's too late in the season, because I think Marv only had 1 or 2 catches last week, and the team put up 26 points, but not great. So I'm rolling with the 49ers. But let's move on to the final game in the 4 o'clock slate. We got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the Chicago Bears. Vegas giving Dallas a nod, though, as Dallas is 1.5-point road favorites, over under 50.5. Who you got, the Bears or the Cowboys, and why?
I have Dallas covering and winning here. I think that's a fair spread. I think both these teams have shown they're about even. Both teams a little underperforming, especially on the Bears end. And the Bears just got off obviously a massive loss. I mean, that was a shitty showing. It was supposed to be quote unquote a revenge game. And I actually really liked what I've seen from Dallas. I mean, they just battled hard against the Giants and got a late overtime, right? Overtime win.
Yeah.
I think this offense is awesome. Obviously the defense has shown they can stop the run, but they haven't really shown that they can stop the pass much. So I think this is going to be a great matchup. This could be one of the best games of the week in terms of scoring and points.
Yeah.
And I just don't love what I've seen from Caleb, to be honest. This is a great opportunity that he's got a lot to prove here, and I think he's just got to prove it to Bears fans that he is the guy for them. I think this at home, this is a great chance for him to do it against not an amazing Dallas defense. So if if he doesn't look good and they don't perform this week, I think it's creeping on panic time for Bears. I mean,
yeah, to fall to 0-3. I mean, this is a must-win. I have the Bears winning. I think it's a great bounce-back spot. I think Caleb and the whole offense will look good this week. Dallas' secondary just got cooked by Russell Wilson and debatable one of the worst offenses in the league.
Yeah.
So I think there's a great spot for the Bears at home. I think the defense will play better, and like I said earlier, like I like Rome, I like DJ Moore in this matchup. I think the tight ends get activated. I mean, they're gonna have to figure out how to establish the run because they haven't really been able to run the ball a ton yet. But Swift has looked okay. I'd like to see the defense look better, but I think Dallas on the road, I think it's a tough draw. I still think it'll be high scoring. It'll be close, but I'm just going to go with the home team here. And the Bears just need it that much more. I mean, going 0-2, but I do think Ben Johnson's a good coach too. And they can compete. Like the Lions, I think outmatched them, but they played well against the Vikings. Like that's a game they should have won. And I think Dallas is very well in the realm of beatable teams for Chicago. So give me Caleb Williams.
Is Jalen Johnson playing? Do we know that?
No, I don't think so.
That could be big because
I think that's why the over-under is so high is because both teams' secondaries are in shambles right now.
CD could have another 100-yard game.
Yeah.
Especially now with George Pickens there. I think this game, I don't hate your pick for the Bears at all. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I just think this Cowboys offense is going to go crazy.
All right, let's shift into Sunday Night Football. The 0-2, who had that on their bingo card? Kansas City Chiefs travel to take on the New York Giants, also 0-2. Spread, Kansas City 6.5-point road favorites in this one, over under 45.5. Garrett, you giving the Giants respect at home, or are you rolling with Kansas City?
I'm rolling with Kansas City to win, but I am giving them their respect on the spread. I think the Giants can cover the 6.5 at home. I really actually liked what I saw from the offense last week. I don't think that's going to be anything normal of what we normally see on a week-to-week basis with them. But this Chiefs offensive line has been very scary for me. And I think when this defensive line for the Giants can put Mahomes under a lot of pressure, Sunday Night Football, these guys are going to be trying to come after him. And I think Abdul Carter could have a big game. And Kayvon and those boys.
Brian Burns, yep.
Yeah, Brian Burns. I think going into the season, everyone hyped up this D-line a lot. I think on Sunday Night Football prime time in their home stadium, they're gonna put on a show. They're gonna get to Mahomes a lot. It's whether or not the Giants' offense can show up again, and if they don't, I think it could get ugly for them because you're gonna have to go tat for tat with Mahomes. But that's why I'm giving the Giants the nod on the spread. But I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I'm going with the Chiefs. I mean, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. It's a must-win. I think they're going to blow out the Giants. I think while I agree with you that this Giants offense is better than what we saw in Week 1, I think they're going to regress. Russell Wilson's not going for 450 yards.
No.
I think they're going to struggle here to put up points offensively because the Chiefs' defense has looked good. That hasn't been the issue. And I think offensively, getting Worthy back, assuming he plays, which at this moment we don't know, that will be huge for the team. I mean, they're going to have to establish the run, and I think the Giants are going to cause fits early on. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to Mahomes in the fourth quarter. It could be a close game where they're up a score or even tied going into the fourth. And Patrick Mahomes is going to do Patrick Mahomes things and unfortunately crush the hearts of Giants fans. But, wouldn't that be something if the Giants end up winning? I'm not going to be mad. I think that'd be cool just to see the storylines of Kansas City going 0-3. Is it time to panic?
That'd be awesome.
I mean, the media will be going crazy. So
it could be like that game when me and him were at the Jets-Chiefs game last year when they came in Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And the Jets played them tough. I think I see kind of a similar script to that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Monday Night Football, our big bet of the week. We got the Lions 1-1 traveling to take on the 1-1 Ravens. Ravens 4.5-point favorites in this over-under 53.5. So Vegas really saying this is going to be a shootout. Biggest over-under on the week. Let me explain our big bet first. So there's this little TikTok challenge going on or viral trend type thing where the one person's blindfolded and then they have their choice of 2 different liquids each time. So we're going to do 5 rounds of that. The winner will get to pick the liquid. So it could be hot sauce and lime juice, and whatever Garrett chooses, that goes in the cup, or me, whoever loses, and then by the end, there'll be 5 different liquids on that, and you're going to have to drink that drink. So it's going to be like a gross smoothie type chug, So that punishment will be done. And, I still got to do the mousetrap one. So, punishments are going good early.
Buddy.
So, yeah.
I'm about to double them down real quick, Colin. This one's for you. I'm filling in for you, and I'm not going to lose our record now. We're still going to whoop this kid's ass.
So who are you taking then?
I'm riding with the boys in purple. Give me Baltimore Ravens at home, Monday Night Football. I'm riding with my guy Lamar Jackson. I think he's the better quarterback in this matchup. I think this is going to be a high-powered game, both elite offenses and pretty solid defenses. But I think the edge does go to Baltimore on the defensive end. I've always liked their secondary unit. I think Kyle Hamilton is one of the best secondary players in the league, and I think they brought in more of a pass rush this season, which is going to be the difference for them going further into the season. But for now in this game, it's going to be close because both teams can run the ball. So I think both teams are going to be trying to control the clock a lot. Obviously, we got Derrick Henry and then Gibbs and Montgomery. So I think it's going to come down to the turnover game, which team could force a fumble here or there or get an interception. And I'm leaning on the Ravens to be the team to do that since they're at home. And I trust Lamar Jackson a little bit more to be safer with the football than Goff. But I want to hear your end of this.
Yeah, I'm going with the Lions. I think they have the better defense. I think the offenses are very similar, but the Lions have back Aiden Hutchinson, and he is that guy.
Dog.
So I think he's going to be a big game wrecker in this. And I think offensively, these teams are going to go back and forth. But if you're giving me 4.5 points, I'm going to take it. I think that, the Lions will control it here. I think defensively, the Ravens have shown that they can get cooked. They already gave up 40 points to the Bills this season, where the Lions, their defense has been decent so far. Allowing 21 to the Bears last week, and then in week 1 to Green Bay, they had 20-something. So they haven't gotten cooked nearly as bad. But I think last week was huge for them figuring out their identity without Ben Johnson and kind of getting the things going. They were able to run the ball well, and St. Brown feasted. I think it's going to be another big St. Brown game again. He woke up for those 3 touchdowns, 10 catches, and Jared Goff as a passer got it done. So I think the Lions can get it done on the ground. I think they'll get it done through the air, and I think they'll get the win on the road here. So give me the Detroit Lions to not only cover, but to win, get to 2-1, and get the road victory. And right. Garrett will be drinking some gross-ass smoothie.
We shall see.
We shall see, but that's all we have. Garrett, thank you for filling in tonight for Colin. This has been a great pod. Week 3, I can't believe we're already here. We hope you're all dominating your fantasy leagues, your underdog leagues, hitting those parlays. We got Felt 5 coming to you. We got some wheel spins. We got Big Dogs Parlay, Drox Locks. So we're going to have a lot of content this weekend. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those platforms. Drop a like, drop a sub wherever you're listening, whether it's Spotify, YouTube. Thank you all for listening. That's all we got tonight. Garrett, any last words?
No. If you made it this far, thanks for bearing with me. It's my first time. Hopefully Colin's back soon, so appreciate it, boys.
Yep. All right. Peace out, everyone.